Welcome, everybody, as we join the summer edition of Conversations About Purpose. Hope everybody is doing all right. So we've just opened the waiting room. So as people join, hello to everybody. So for those of you who are returners, you know the drill. Use the chat, tell us who you are, tell us where you are in the world, and today tell us what energy are you stepping into this session with? What energy are you stepping into this session? Are you feeling lively? Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling sleepy? What's the energy you're stepping in? And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We don't normally have outfits on, but as this is the last session of the summer, we thought we'd have a summer themed conversations about purpose. So Alberto, Sarah, and I have got dressed up specially for the occasion. So welcome everybody. I can spot one new member for the first time, Richard Marshall. Hi, Richard. Richard lives just around the corner from me. We've been connected on LinkedIn for about a year, and then I suddenly realized the person who always walked his dog past me was Richard. And so I sent him a message on LinkedIn and we met for a coffee. So welcome, Richard, for your first time to the Conversations About Purpose. So we've got more people joining. So welcome to the summer edition and the last of the Purpose Collective sessions before September. So welcome everybody. We'll invite you to use the chat, introduce yourselves, say who you are, say where you are in the world, and tell us what energy are you stepping into this session with today. Are you lively? Are you excited? Are you sleepy? If you're an England fan, are you ecstatic? What's the energy? So let's have a look at who we've got with us today. So we've got Victor, who is coming in curious. Okay, excellent. That's always a great energy to bring to the session. Andrew in Kingston 10 is feeling a bit sluggish, but very pleased to be here. Welcome, Andrew. Amanda is zooming in from West Wittering. What a great name. Is feeling curious as well. We have Michelle from Puerto Rico, very early in the morning over there. Welcome again, Michelle, feeling fresh. A run on the beach and a cold shower at 5 a.m. So welcome, Michelle. Great to have you with us again. We've got Andy in Stafford. And this is, last day before my halls, got my holiday energy today. So hopefully you're feeling it with us. We've got Lizway in cold and windy Cape Town. It's going to be a cool session. And tomorrow he's off to the national park. I can't pronounce it, but it sounds wonderful. We've got Penny just within earshot of Wimbledon. I think Sarah's kind of got a Wimbledon themed summer outfit on today. Sarah's a keen tennis player. So secret eating under the desk or starving, so that's okay. We've just got a few more people come in. We've got Rob in Cambridge, who's feeling open. Angela in Stoke, who's feeling good. We've got Richard, who's curious as well. So he's hoping, expecting to be able to sit quietly in the background. Apologies, Richard. So this is your first session. They tend to be very interactive. So it's cameras on. And yeah, we tend to make it as fun and energetic as possible. We've got Steve at the big picture from Brixton, London Town, hopeful and nervous about Sunday. What's going on Sunday? England are in the final for the first time since 1966. So for those of us in the UK who like football, that is very exciting. We've got Chris in sunny Leamington Spa, feeling pretty lively, stuffing his face, hence no video yet. So welcome everybody. We've just got a few more people in the waiting room to welcome. So welcome. We're going to do brief intros from the Purpose Collective, and then we'll hand over to our guest host for today, Jen Morgan. So I am Chris Blackwell. I am one of the co-founders of the Purpose Collective. And the energy that I'm bringing today is energy of excitement about the football, but also because I put my summer gear on, feeling excited about my summer holidays, which are coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm going to hand over to Sarah to say hello.
Thank you very much, Chris. A very warm welcome to you, whether you're a returner or a newcomer. So delighted that you've joined us. I'm feeling enthusiastic. I can't wait to hear Jen talk. I'll introduce Jen very shortly. I'm a business psychologist by background. I coach around purpose, write around purpose, and have a real passion for the topic. And on that note, I'm going to pass to Alberto.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Alberto. I'm originally from Spain, but living in the Netherlands for 13 and a half years. I have my, gear. I'm jealous about your hat, Chris, because it looks amazing. I need to buy one, and then my surfboard is somewhere there. So I'm ready for the holiday, and I'm feeling purposeful. That's how I feel, and coming into this session. And it would be lovely to see you all. So if you can switch on your cameras, that would be great. And yeah, my background is in sales and sales leadership roles for 20 years. I don't like sales. I hate sailing, but that's why I'm doing what I do today. It was quite a struggle for me during many, many years to uncover my own purpose. And finally I did, and now that's what I do with organizations, teams, and leaders with my company, Just and Purpose. And back over to Sarah to introduce Jen.
Thank you, Alberto. Thank you very much. So Chris, Alberto, and I are delighted to welcome Jen. I'm going to say a few words about Jen. Jen, do you want to just say hello and wave?
Hi.
So thank you so much, Jen, for coming and being our guest speaker today. Jen is a dear friend and colleague and wears several different hats. She's the executive director of the Psychosynthesis Trust based in London, near London Bridge. We're going to be hearing much more about the trust very shortly. And Jen is also a change consultant supporting purpose-driven organizations. Jen's worked in a number of innovation roles in different organizations, including British Airways, the World Wildlife Fund, the Body Shop, and she also initiated a wonderful organization called the Finance Innovation Lab. And in addition to all of that, Jen has a real love of nature. She grew up in a rural part of New England in the United States. And she has recently also started working with forest bathing. You might know what that is, and if you don't, perhaps Jen might say a few words about forest bathing, but the primary focus here is really on organizational purpose and the journey that Jen has been on with that and the Psychosynthesis Trust. So with that, Jen, a huge thank you again, and I'm going to hand across to you.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Alberto, and thanks, Chris. And yeah, I'm feeling really honored to have been invited and very happy to be here to share the story, our story of the trust and how we have developed our organizational purpose over the years. And I really hope that through this story, you'll have some practical insights that you can apply in your own purpose work. So maybe just a little bit about me and my own purpose journey and where did it start. So as Sarah mentioned, I grew up in New England, and I have a vivid memory of when I was 10 years old, sitting on a lake, growing up in New Hampshire. And I was really sad because I started to understand that the acid rain was an acid rain problem with all the coal production and burning in Pennsylvania. It was killing all the fish in New Hampshire, in the lake that I grew up next to. So ever since then, I just had a embodied feeling of purpose, and a purpose that's about shining a light on the interconnectedness of life. And that's really what kind of has drawn me to work for organizations such as the Body Shop and WWF, and more recently, the Psychosynthesis Trust. So what is the trust? I know some of you are here who know about the trust, so thanks for joining, but some of you might not know about the trust. And the Psychosynthesis Trust, our purpose is about revealing wholeness through helping people to awaken to who they really are. And we do this through our offer, which is about offering training for people to become counselors and psychotherapists. I see Rob here, who's recently graduated. Congrats, Rob. And we also offer transformational personal learning experiences, as well as counseling, including a low-cost counseling offer. So we do this through the modality called psychosynthesis, and psychosynthesis is a transpersonal modality of psychotherapy. And what it does is it really explores the whole of human experience, and it integrates the spiritual aspect and spiritual nature of who we are. And so we at the Trust, we're a small education charity. The income is around £1 million. There are 15 permanent staff, including 3 directors, of which one was myself, has been myself, and I'm in a part-time role. And we have about 30 trainers and supervisors and tutors who support about 150 students at any one given time around and over the year through their training journey. And they're on, they are part-time, contracted on a part-time basis, but they're the training body that supports the learning. So rewind about four and a half years ago. It was December 2016, and I just joined the Trust, and it was a new role at the time. Executive director hadn't existed before, but the board, including Penny, who's here today, had the foresight and the interest and the will to really want to expand the work of the Trust and to think about like what is the organizing infrastructure that's needed to grow our work. And having had just set up the startup within WWF, the finance lab that Sarah referred to, I really saw the power of purpose. The purpose, like once we got our purpose like really clear at the lab, like we really began to mobilize people, resources, and potential. So I really wanted to bring that into the Trust and do the same thing for the Trust. And my intention, I was raring to go. My intention was to finish this work, like in 6 months, in no more than 9 months. we're gonna land this. Like the quicker we can get this purpose thing done, the sooner we can like help more people. So I set out on the journey, and again, using a lot of the processes I've learned along the way. Designing participatory processes are really important for me to involve people, not just from galvanizing the collective intelligence, but also to involve people as a sense of ownership of the process, but also the outcome. And I hosted a series of about 20 different dialogue interviews with all different stakeholders, staff, the board, the trainers, to really explore some questions around like, what is the vision they had for the Trust? What do they think about the purpose? What are our values? Who are we here to serve? And it's a really brilliant process, especially in my early days at the Trust, where I learned a lot about our work. I built a lot of relationships, along the way. People got to know me and I got to know them. And obviously, clearly, it's kind of surfaced some strategic insights about, emerging patterns and trends that I could start to see. And it was also helpful for the people that I interviewed. So there's, trainer Sophia, she said to me, wow, Jen, this is incredible. It's the first time I've really pondered this question about the future of the Trust. And, it's so exciting about, our potential and where we could go. Like, thank you for asking these questions. So that was the exploratory session, and things started to become really clear, including our values, values of love and will and responsibility and inquiry, and we mapped behaviors around that, and just these things started to land themselves, which became really helpful. However, the purpose was still pretty foggy. So, what I really wanted to do is to kind of bring groups together, the people in the multi-stakeholders together as groups, and moving deeper from my one-to-one dialogue interviews. And I really wanted to do this with our training body, but because they are so involved with the delivery of the training courses, and because they're working on a part-time contracted basis, it was really, and they only come together about 3 to 4 times a year as a group. And the time with them is so precious in that sense. It's just very hard because they need to challenge, work through delivery issues of training and supporting students' journey. It's very hard to get time with them, particularly on involving them around organizational design and strategy, and in this case, purpose development, which I thought would be helpful to clarify our purpose. So so I was sitting with this and just thinking, well, how could I get a different perspective and just think about things from a different way? And this was in 2017, and I had come across my email, a workshop by one Sarah Rosenthaler. like, oh, this looks very interesting. It's about purpose. So I remember I think it was late 2017, going into the St. Ethelburgers, the church, sitting down in a circle, and that was Sarah with the flip chart and, just drawing this diamond. I'm like, oh, interesting diamond. And wow, I just remember my this light that lit up and learning more about this framework about the purpose diamond, really discovering the importance of the founding purpose and the espoused purpose and the truest and most potent purpose. And it just completely resonated with me, especially around, the aspect of the founding purpose. And I really believe, the source energy of the source of where the organization starts is so critical, and as it helps to, paves the path for the unfolding of the organization for years and years to come. So that resonated, as well as the idea of the potent purpose. And just, I believe that organizations are a living complex system. This idea of like really tuning into what is emerging. So these two things are just so helpful for me in this understanding, having a framework that, that I could work with. So yeah, I took that away and then just started to mull over, well, how could I learn more about the history, the history and what had come before and the source of the Psychosynthesis Trust. So I was sitting one day just mulling this over, at my desk at Tooley Street, and I looked up and there's a bookshelf, and there was this kind of old book, and it was like, oh, this looks a little bit out of place compared to all the nice shiny books. So I pulled it off and I sat it down on the table and I opened it up, and I started to open it up, but I had a little difficulty because it's like old brass key. So I had to like wiggle the key and open the key, and I was just like, wow, what is this book? And I opened it up very carefully, and what I discovered was like the first page, there were about 300 meticulously typed, hand typed, fine pages, and the front cover was board minutes, the Psychosynthesis Trust, 1964 to 1969. So I spent the next 5 hours just leafing through this history. And I don't think I got up for a break. I don't think I got up for the loo, and was just enthralled. And through that, I discovered so much. I discovered so Roberto Assagioli was the founding father of psychosynthesis. He's an Italian psychotherapist. And in the book and in the board minutes, I learned about how Maslow in 1959 wrote a letter to Assagioli, who was Italian, as I mentioned, and said, well, how can you bring psychotherapy to the UK? Could you help me do that? And then I learned all about the people that Assagioli had asked to start this entity, as we knew as the Trust, in 1964. So they were scientists, they were doctors, they were psychiatrists, they were mystics, they were like pioneering educators, people that helped to start Findhorn. One person started at UNESCO. They're all part of the Steiner movement, and I was just so amazed about their sense of vision and really wanting to meet the need in the world. And what I discovered was there's a lot of reference to the education of lay people and also helping people to discover meaning in life. So the Trust didn't actually start training people to become psychotherapists. It was more about education and this general principle of discovery of life. So with that, I was really energized and inspired, and I was so honored, and I was even more mobilized to be determined to help to reveal the Trust's purpose. But along with it came a sense of responsibility, and almost a sense of just pressure in a way to get this right, in honor of these incredible source. So as I closed the book, one other chapter opened up, and this was 2018, where I had quite a bit of change of staff, including directors. And between that and, with my role being part-time, what was so challenging was just to continue on with this purpose work. So I had to put that on the shelf during 2018, as we really had to prioritize getting the directors and leadership team in place. And it was partly my belief as well, knowing that it's just so important to get alignment, especially at the leadership team, around purpose, and wanting to make sure that the future directors and the future leadership team had some sort of co-design and co-creation of the purpose work. So that was 2018. And at the end, I realized I just really had to go with the pace of the organization and the pace for what, that context needed at that time. So there I was, end of 2018, and I realized I needed some help. If I was really to revivify this project, I needed help. It was 2 years, and the journey was started to be a long one. So that's a little taster, and I know we're going to do a little break now, just to break out into breakout groups. And the idea is I'll share the second part of the story in a moment. But in your breakout groups, I think it would be incredible to learn more about like what resonated with you so far in this story, and especially the challenges. What really stands out for you? Is there anything in particular that resonates with you about the challenges that I had experienced so far? There's more.
Okay, so we're going to open the chat room. So I think we're all back. So Jen, back over to you. I don't know if you want to invite any reflections or head straight into the second part. We're in your hands.
Maybe I'll do the second part and then we can do a reflection afterwards. I think that would, do a whole reflection. That'd be good. This will be just a few more minutes. So back to where I was. November 2018, Monday morning, I take my cup of coffee and I go to room 23 with my flip charts and my pens, and I really wanted to map out, like, what is the help I need in revivifying this project. So, first thing I wrote down on the paper was, I need help to help facilitate this process. I still had pressures of time and just to dedicate to see this help. In one of our conversations, we just spoke about seeing the project through. I needed help in doing that, because I had lost some momentum. And then the other thing was about bringing perspective, again, because so much time had passed. I just felt like I needed somebody to help me see perspective and see things from fresh. I was very close to it. And then I also wrote down, well, actually, I need somebody who's got the skills. I personally don't have really amazing skills in terms of coming up with narratives and helping us to think about different narratives and narrative stories that could really support, our purpose. I needed somebody to help out thinking through and coming up creatively with comms and narrative skills. So as I started to write this image of a woman I had known, she's a kind of a distant friend and somebody I worked with indirectly, this kind of popped into my head, Emma Asher Jones. I'm like, yes. And then again, another tingling came through my spine about this is like, this just feeling like this is somebody who could help me. This is really somebody who could help me in this project. So that afternoon, I gave her a call and arranged a coffee for the next few days or so. We met up and it was great. We spoke about, the purpose behind the Purpose Project. We spoke about our own personal purposes. We spoke about our values, about our different approaches, about our own inner journeys. And there was a lot that resonated. So I just felt that with this resonance, this is somebody that could really help. And she was very excited about the opportunity as well. So we sat down and we mapped out a 6-month process, and we quickly brought together a working group, a purpose working group. And Penny, our chair, who's here today, she's been instrumental in that. She's part of the working group, as well as we had a graduate and a few other core staff. There are about 5 of us on this working group. So we traveled with Emma along the way for the next 9 months, where she, again, similar sort of process. It was key to, we still wanted to continue this dialogue, participatory process and kind of tuning back in with people. And she hosted more dialogue interviews and asking the questions, such as wanting to know from the trainers and from graduates and from others, what is their own personal story, and like what drew them to be part of the trust? What are the needs of the people that we're actually serving? And what is the culture of the trust? How would you describe it? What does it actually feel like tangibly? So through all of this was, we did cycles of kind of bringing this back and her testing this out with us. She also attended one of our 4-day essentials courses to really get a sense of who we were, as well as doing some basic desktop research on how others, in our sector position themselves. So it was really iterative, which was great. And what I loved was how she really listened. She had a skill of listening to stories. And she also had a great skill in terms of facilitation, holding the space for meaningful conversations and kind of messy conversations and tension conversations with tension as well. So she held that space, as well as was able to synthesize things and to bring clarity and alignment in us around synthesizing this emerging intelligence. And then again, just applied her creative nous to kind of relay back to us some possible narratives that we could test out and kind of sense into. So things around purpose really quickly became much clearer. And then there was something around, the trust purpose was about revealing wholeness in a fragmented world. And we all, really started to feel energized by that. And one thing that I loved, what she did was she asked us to try it out. Just try it out. Don't feel like you have to go with this, and just try it out and speak it and see how it feels in your body, see how it resonates with others, what do other people say about it. So we tried it out, and it felt pretty good. And as I was trying it out, I could feel myself. I could almost hear my own purpose, coming through the trust purpose, and that was interesting. So really had to ask myself, is this actually me and the trust co-evolving, which I believe it is. And I think that's an important thing to hold on to, because we're all part of the organizations that are co-evolving as we are. But also, like, how do I hold that tension with really wanting to make sure that I'm still objective as well, and really wanting to pay attention to what was emerging from the collective synthesis. So it was around spring of 2019, and we really felt we landed the purpose. We were happy with it as a kind of core team. We brought it to the board, the June board meeting, 2019. There's alignment, and it was kind of officially signed off. And this is what we wanted to take forward. I was very, very pleased at the time. I think I had a glass of wine that evening, and. But then, as we started to socialize it with the world after, just with externally, if there's a few of us who started to feel actually something niggling, especially about this word fragmented. So fragmented, it just was like, well, actually, this isn't the change that we really want to see in the world. Like, what is the vision that we have for the world, and what is the change we want to be? And there's something more generative that we wanted to shift to. So something more about, trust is more about enabling potentiality. So fortunately, we had done all the work with Emma, and it was relatively easy to go back and have a little rethink and a resense. We brought Sarah back in, and we did a wonderful systemic constellation to kind of tune into some of the invisible aspects that kind of reveal, gave us a sense that we were again onto something even more potent, and this was the right track to go down. So yeah, it was March 2020. So just about a year ago, where we really felt we aligned around something potent, something we wanted to go forward with. And that's been our purpose since, in terms of the framing. And it's been really helpful, especially during the year of COVID, and just with so much uncertainty, like, our purpose, it has been our North Star, has helped to galvanize the team along with our values. I think, those are two things that need to go kind of hand in hand along with the strategy. But the purpose and the values, have been the North Star, as well as important tools that help us to make decisions, especially when everything is just so up in the air and you just have no sense of direction. These are the navigating tools that were really important this year. So we have long ways to go. There's still a long ways to go in terms of mapping out. We really want to go to the next cycle of, like, looking at our processes, and what do those look like, and how do we need to adjust those to be in line, looking through the lens of our purpose. How do we greet people at the door? How do we interview students when they come, potential students? How do we our purchasing policies? That's the next iteration that we want to get to, because I really believe, like, the more you can align everything, the more coherence the organization will have. So that is the 4.5-year journey of discovering the trust's emerging purpose. And there's, as you probably gathered, some insights that I've captured along the way, and I just thought I'd share those with you just as little nuggets. So yeah, I believe that developing organizational purpose, it's a journey of discovery. So I actually think the journey is almost even more important than the destination. The journey of building relationships, of making sense, of alignment. And I think the journey starts the second you ask the question about purpose, and that second is when organizational change process starts. It's not necessarily the end. It's the second you start to ask the question. The other insight is around going at the pace of the organization. This work takes time, and I had a massive assumption in the beginning that I'd finish this in 6 to 9 months. So that was a big learning. And alignment, I've noticed myself using the word alignment a lot through this whole process. So alignment with stakeholders is so key. Staff, the board, delivery teams. And I think this is still something that, we have ways to work on. How do we, and it's been, been a real challenge in terms of, with our blended workforce. How do we align everybody, especially if they don't have that much time to engage around the purpose conversation, what it actually means. Purpose is not static either. It's a process that continues to need to be sensed into. And I think it's something where, we really need to take a look at the arc of time, have a long-term view of purpose. And it's both the founding purpose, but the emergent and holding both at the same time. So something about a mindset, a long-term mindset, I think is really important. And then I believe that this type of work really requires leadership skills of listening, of process design, good process design and facilitation that's based on participatory processes, synthesizing, using creative modalities such as drawing and drawing images of the future of the organization, and really good narrative building skills as well. And then two more. So one is about purpose for me is about synthesizing. I think it's about storytelling as well. Like how do you synthesize like the collection of all the people that have been involved in this organization? How do you draw those stories out? How do you listen to them? And how do you kind of synthesize the collective strands of stories that make up that, emerging purpose of the organization? And then I'd also say purpose champions, very key. People like Sarah, people like Emma, people like, Penny here. I think, I just really valued, having purpose champions, people that I could turn to, people that could support me. And I think that is key. And then one final one I've just kind of thought of just as I've been speaking here is about the documentation of purpose. And I think this opportunity here has really helped me to think, and I'm going to be documenting the purpose journey so far. So I think, just going back to that old book of minutes, 1964, I was so grateful that they documented their story and they documented the struggles they're going through. So, I too want to document this, like knowing that the trust will evolve into the future. And I want people to be able to come back to it to say, actually, this is, part of the unraveling story of the trust. And this is what they went through back in 2016 to 2021, 4.5 years. So that's the end of the whole story in the second version. And I know there's another little pause for reflection. And again, I think just maybe a simple question, like what else resonated? And then I would love to hear from you as well in terms of like, what insights from this story do you want to take into your own work that might be helpful for you? And then we can have a conversation and sharing around some of those reflections.
And Jen, just before we open the chat rooms, so Rob Lake just said he didn't catch the final wording of the purpose. So could you just, before we open the chat rooms, just share the final wording of the purpose that you came up with?
Yes, our final purpose is revealing wholeness through helping people to awaken to who they really are.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, well, we're going to open the chat rooms. I think we've got 10 minutes this time round.
Welcome back. Thanks everyone here. How was it? Good? Okay. Yeah, maybe we are still waiting for a couple of people or not. Is everyone back, Chris? Okay. So as usual, we're going to take a couple of screenshots with your summer vibes, right? So you need to express how you feel. Imagine you're on holiday already, right? So a couple of shots, 1, 2, 3. And because I have 2 screens, and last one, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. So Jen.
We have a few minutes to hear from others, is that right?
Yeah, we can listen to a couple of people briefly.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear just briefly from a few reflections.
So we've got Michelle with
I'll jump
raised.
in. Oh, sorry about that, Chris. I'll jump in. I came late, but then of course jumped right in and loved, Jen, what you were saying. Completely fell in love with everything you were saying. In our group, the being truthful with yourself was one of the key things that we were highlighting.
Great, thanks. And we have Michelle, is that right? Yeah.
Hi, hello everybody. I appreciate the conversation today because it really brings to light the essentialism of purpose as a human being outside of your title, outside of the company that you work for, or how you identify what you do every day. And having that conversation about your purpose and your values, I think for a lot of people is something that's very timely, because we're in a state of flux right now in the world. Organizations are dissolving, people are getting laid off, people are in career transition. And I know for myself personally, it's been very powerful for me this year to be doing that introspective work and deconstructing what leadership means to me, what success means to me, and identifying it on my own terms. So it's really refreshing to hear other people having that same feeling and doing that same work, because I feel like, it's just really needed. So thank you.
Thanks.
So I think we've hit the time. So Sarah, thank you. Do you want to wrap us up and thank Jen and bring us home?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing the story of the psychosynthesis, twists and turns along the way, including your archaeological dig into the founding purpose of the organization, Source Energy, as you called it. And it's such a great reminder you've given us that pacing and timing, it takes time to uncover a potent organizational purpose and get the stakeholders aligned around it. So thank you very much. Thank you for bringing so much of yourself in as well, the tingling that goes up your spine on the journey as well. So a huge thank you to you. We have a LinkedIn group. Further reflections are really welcome online. And just to say, we're going to take a summer holiday here at the Purpose Collective. We will be back in the autumn. We are yet to set the first date for these fortnightly sessions. We'll be back in touch about that. We do have dates for a couple of half-day masterclasses. That's the 30th of September and the 28th of October, focusing on team purpose. We'd love to see you there. So thank you very much for coming. If you want to unmute yourself and say thank you to Jen or give us a wave, you're very welcome to do that, and all the best. Thank you very much.
Have a nice
Thanks so much, Jen. Have a great summer, everybody.
Brilliant.
Bye.